You want Mr. Malhotra to be happy? And
I'm always
interesting.
happy.
You're not
Yeah.
married. Of course, you'll always be happy.
And I'm older than you. And she said been seeing me since childhood. And I looked at my sister and I said, oh my God, I'm really getting old.
Yeah. Mm. Okay, can you give him a bigger round of applause? You've not applauded him. Bigger.
Thank you so much.
We won't
Thank you.
start talking till you give a... And clapping is good for heart muscles. Can you clap?
Okay, I'll also clap. Thank you so much.
Good. What should I call you, Manish or Mr. Malhotra?
Manish.
Okay. I'm old-fashioned, so I must ask you. And to let out a secret, he's just 6 years older than me. Nobody would believe that, but...
Is it 6 years?
Just 6 years. I know.
Just
I look 16 years older, but I know it's only 6.
So the first time I met him, he asked me, what's your age? So I said...
I asked you, when's your birthday?
When's my birthday? So I said,
didn't ask you what's
December.
your
I
age.
turned
I'm not
53
rude.
now. So he keeps saying, I'm much younger than you.
Yes, but that's my hobby. But it's an honor to talk to him. You know, he adorns a lot of hats behind his persona. Of course, you know, the designer. But I would like to call him an entrepreneur and revivalist, because you know he believes in the beauty of the world. He believes in love. He believes in romance. If he didn't believe, he wouldn't be able to give you the, you know, persona that he created for, let's say, a certain actress in Rangila. So I can ask him a lot, but I'd like to start by asking you, Manish, you accomplished so much, whether it's fashion design, whether it's dressing up celebrities, their makeover, whether it's styling their homes, whether it's rubbing shoulders with everyone that matters in India, being an entrepreneur, being a revivalist, being a mentor to a lot of people in this domain. There's nothing left to do except getting married.
Don't say that, because I think there is a lot to do, and I think a lot of us will agree that age has nothing to do with it, career has nothing to do with it. Each and every day we want to do so much more. So I think for me today it's my label, my brand, my business, and I want to do so much about it. So it's just the beginning.
Just the beginning. So what should we expect from Manish in the next 8-10 years? What's left to do? I mean, I know you want to scale up your business, but beyond that.
So, well, I think that the next year I complete 30 years of costume design, and the generation of actors that I'm working with is the fourth generation of actors that I'm working with. So when Janvi, Sara Ali Khan, Ananya Pandey, Tara, Tiger, you know, it's all the newcomers, and they're all so much more younger. So I feel really good that I'm working with the fourth generation of all the young actors. But I think for me, it's so important that I take now the brand ahead, the label. And I think after 30 years of costume design, I'd rather get into production of films and maybe direction, because movies is something that I know, I love, I'm passionate about, and clothes. So I want to take that next big step in films and challenge myself further. And where my business is concerned, it's all about the label, it's all about taking it to the next level. It's all about making a multi-dimensional demographic label, taking it all over the world with stores everywhere, and having a very, very young brand as well. I want to call it M, and which caters to the youth, the younger generation. And yeah, that's what I want to do.
So your dreams are about finding new ways to express yourself. You know, at the end of the day, what you do is storytelling. When you design a costume for Urmila in Rangila, that's storytelling. It adds to. And the world has changed. There are so many storytellers in every domain. How does Manish Malhotra keep himself abreast, stays ahead of the curve, gets his inspiration? How does he come up with new ideas? Tell us that, because
I think the most important thing for all of us in any kind of profession is to love what we do. So when you love what you do, you kind of want to do a lot more of it each and every day. And you, in my case, I'm very inspired by people, what they speak, how they are, personalities. There's inspiration all around us.
Sure.
Whether it's architecture, whether it's what people, you see something, you're inspired by someone or inspired by something that you see. And I at least constantly am, like I keep telling all my assistants that you guys are always on Instagram. You know, don't just see what's happening on the world. Get it on the table. Like, what is it that inspires you and that can add up to your work? So for me, it's very important, or maybe I'm just I'm work-centric, that whatever I see, I want to get it back to my work table. So my father's 92. Till the age of 90, he used to go to office. So for me, I think I come from that kind of upbringing.
ethics.
So yeah, so work ethic. So for me, even a weekend is like, I hate weekends. I keep telling my manager that I give me some work on this weekend. Don't just let me be on a Sunday. So I look out for work on Sunday. If you have a job for me, I'd love to come and do it.
Because you love what you do? That's what
Yeah.
you said. I couldn't agree more with you. You said you find inspiration from whatever you observe, whatever you see. It could be people, buildings. Movies is a big passion apart from being work. Tell us, which is the movie that has inspired you? Again, I'm sure there may be more than one movie. But what's your favorite movie? Who's your favorite movie director? And more importantly, who's your most favorite movie star?
So we've discussed this before. He's a huge Hollywood fan, and I'm more of a Bollywood fan. And as I grew older and older, I started liking black and white films a lot more. I loved the way they were directed. I loved the way they were shot. I loved the way they were styled. I mean, if you see a film called Andaz, made in 1947, 1948, if I'm not mistaken, it's got Dilip Kumar, Nargis ji, and Raj Kapoor, and that's the first time they were like a trio, like a triangle film. You have to see the class that film has. You have to see the style that film has. So I really think that fashion changes, but style is timeless. I mean, if you see a lot of the 50s and the 60s in Hollywood cinema or in Indian cinema, it's truly stylish. And answering the earlier question also, with so much of changing time and a youngster today who's is seeing so much, I think what's really important is to stick to your style, stick to your belief. Of course, keep reinventing in that genre, but don't really get so worked up or say that I have to also move with the youngsters. You have to move with the youngsters, but keeping your ethos correct, keeping your belief correct. So I think movies for me have been for movies like Andaz, movies like what Guru Dutt did, Sharab Modi made, Raj Kapoor made. I love Mughal-e-Azam. And I was very, very happy when the play Mughal-e-Azam came to me.
I met Dipesh.
Yeah, and I had to do 550 costumes in like
Beautiful.
2 months. I died doing it, but it was an experience that I enjoyed. I never ever thought that I would work with Salim and Anarkali and those names would, Bahar and all of that, that's a film that I truly admire for its performances, for its grandeur, opulence, all of it, or Pakiza, for the way it's made, for the way it's directed. So I think
These are
those films are like, a
Big
huge
impact on you.
influence, yeah.
By the way, I watched it with my wife and kids, and it's funny that I liked it, my wife liked it, and my daughter and son too liked it. So it's difficult for all of us to like something.
Sometimes which are things that are pure, I think, and they are done from the heart, connect with everybody. It connects with all kinds of ages. It connects with everything, whether it's design, whether it's something that you write, you speak about, the work that you do, for all of it, I think.
You're very diplomatic. Huh?
Am I diplomatic?
Yeah, you've not given us any movie from now. You
Oh,
have to choose. You
Okay.
haven't given us a star.
So the film that I think Kuch Kuch Hota is very close to my heart. All the movies that I think changed, all the way films are, whether it's Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, Rangila, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, so many of them, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. So I think so many of those
And
movies.
who's your favorite actor?
Who's my favorite actor? So I thought this was a business world interview, but so my favorite actor is Dilip Kumar, Dev Anand.
Of course,
Yeah, and I think Amir Khan, of course, Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan. They're also brilliant. I think the young actors today, they know their craft. They know what to wear. They know how to look. They know what to do. They're so smart. I love it.
Tell
You asked
me
me about the
about
actor,
actresses.
not about the actresses.
What about actresses? I'm going to come to that. What about actresses?
No, I answered one question.
Okay. Now tell me, since you talk about entrepreneurship, are there entrepreneurs that you look up to, especially the younger ones, the first generation? You in some way are a first generation entrepreneur.
That's right.
You built what you have, both your brand and your business and your persona, yourself. And so are there entrepreneurs you look up to, whether in the fashion creative space or in an overall entrepreneurship space?
Well, what I truly admire is a lot of the fashion brands internationally. It's a beyond 100-year-old fashion industry, and what they have done and how they've collaborated, and they've made huge fashion houses, which is which have been even, more popular for years and years to come. I think it takes a lot to sustain. It takes a lot to kind of be there, relevant decade after decade. So I think that is very admirable. And of course, to go ahead, I think it's a collaborated effort, investment, a collaboration is most important, and lots of different influences and people coming together.
Manish, it's funny that you weren't trained to be a fashion designer. You weren't trained to be a stylist. Or
I wasn't trained at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no wonder you've done well.
No.
No.
So
But the question I'm trying to ask you is that if you look at the world in various domains, people who were not from that domain, I mean, our prime minister, whether you like him, not like him, I'm not talking you, is it, people who didn't necessarily go through a normal route have done well. Donald Trump, whether you like him or not. I mean, people have taken very unusual routes. I mean, there's Amit Hare, he was a steward with Jet, but he sells homes now. He runs a property services company. Dr. Velumani is there. He built Thyrocare, did an IPO. I mean, look at his story. They're very unusual stories. He came from a small town in Tamil Nadu. So, not having an education and not having a fixed mindset about things, did it help you?
So I think that I was very interested in design. I think at the age of 6, I used to tell my mother, there's something wrong with your sari. And she would be like, what's wrong with you? Why are you really so interested in what I'm wearing? And I was crazy about movies. I think my entire childhood has been in a film theater.
So how many movies do you watch in a week?
I don't know. I was like, and I think my mother, I would cry that I want to see this film, and she would see to it that I see that film. So I think that really kind of, I think my entire childhood is more in a film theater than anywhere else. The influences, and even today if I meet an actress, like all the actresses that I love, like Rekha Ji or Shabana Azmi, all of them, I know their outfits, I know their movies. Even if they forget something, I say, no, but you did that film and you wore that. So it's like, it's really, my childhood was all about movies. And I used to paint and sketch, and I was very interested in color and clothes. I mean, born with that interest. When I came to college, obviously I was a very bad student. So in those days, Bandra and town were like two different cities in a city. So I wanted to go to the city to be very cool, and I started modeling. And from modeling, the thought came of something to do with design, and I worked in a boutique. And I said, why not movies? Because I love films. And the late 80s saw a little decline in style in films. And I thought to myself, I don't have the clothes to come out with a collection. I don't have the clothes, money to go abroad and study fashion. I don't have money to come out with a collection. Why don't I get into films? Because if I can change the look, I'll make a name. So with that thought, I really kind of wanted to get into films. And here I was in 1990 was when I got into movies. And at that time, there were a lot more women designers than a man that, designing, or a boy designing for. Xerxes used to be a designer before me who had just left films. And so I was here, and I was like, what is the story? What is this character? And the director looks at me and says, why do you want to know that? Just make her look sexy. So every brief to me was that she should look sexy. It's a death scene, funeral scene, but she must look sexy. So I was very confused on what is this brief I'm getting everywhere. And I was like, I have to change this entire thing. So I started asking for roles, and I started working on characters myself, that, okay, she's a glamorous girl, she has to look sexy, but she's a type of a person who would wear these kind of clothes.
Sure.
So that's how I started.
Just because you're saying this, tell us two things. How did your first real assignment come about? And tell us, how did you shape the character of Urmila in Rangila?
So I'll answer the second one first. So while I was struggling with this whole, brief that I used to get, I worked with Sridevi in a film called Gumrah, which was being made by Karan Johar's dad, Yash Johar, and Mahesh Bhatt. And I told her, I said, in our movies, all heroines have short hair for Western clothes, but suddenly in the next scene when they're wearing something Indian, their hair is long. How does a haircut change? How can you have short hair and the next you have long hair? So let's do a haircut, let's do a look. And that's how I introduced a look in a film. And it was a lot of extra work for me about interfering in the makeup and saying, what are you wearing? What are your shoes? What's your jewelry? You're this kind of a person. We're all, like, I love wearing scarves. You probably love wearing pocket square. You know, we're all different kind. We have all different quirks of dressing. We like this one pair of pants that fit us really well, or a perfume that we like. So we're all individual in that sense. So I would try to get that out. And I met Ram Gopal Verma. I did a film called Govinda Govinda for them, with Sridevi. And I had never met him because I used to always work with Sridevi. She was in Chennai. I would go to Chennai, and all of that. And then he called me for Rangila, and he narrated the film. I was so impressed that somebody has narrated a movie to me, an entire script. And I was very charged by that because I used to love scripts and storytelling. And so I really got into the film. And then, and I think any kind of film which has a successful look, it's got a lot to do with the director. It's got a lot to do with the actor who's wanting to change, who's hardworking.
Sure.
So all of us put together, and that started an entire, I would say, an entire time in Bollywood. And I had one film after the other coming, which was trend-setting, which was, changing the whole, I didn't realize at that time, but changing the face of how movies would be.
How did you get your first
And my
real
first
assignment?
film was by David Dhawan. David Dhawan, he's related to me. And he said, oh, you're doing clothes, so I need urgent 3 outfits in a day for Juhi Chawla for a song that I'm going to Lonavala for a film called Swarg. That was 1989. And here I was running. And I went to the Taj to pick up fabric. I said, my clothes must look like very good quality. I don't want to be somebody who doesn't know quality. And I haven't studied design, so I must come across like somebody who knows what quality is about and buy good fabric, tailor it well. So that's how I kind of got down to it.
Interesting. Tell us one or two anecdotes about actors or directors which are funny and which you can tell on stage, which will really either show their eccentricity or show just the, serendipity of life. You're a romantic at heart. You wouldn't have created the look that you created for some of your movies if you were in love with the world, people, and whatever the world has to offer. So tell us one or two anecdotes that you can share.
Well, I think I kind of worked with directors like Yash Chopra, who I truly admired, who loved what they did, who loved all the beautiful things. And I think that time was when everybody was beautiful in the film, whether they were, wherever they were from. They woke up pretty, their hair was done, their lashes were perfect. So everything was just perfect. It was never grumpy. Everything was just perfect. It's almost like OCD, right? And that I enjoyed myself so much. But I think what films taught me were that you can never say no. You have to do what's required and when it's required. So even if there's a change in the night at 10 o'clock and an outfit is required 6 o'clock in the morning, you have to do it. So it's like that. So we were in Scotland for a shoot, and we were doing a song for Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. And Karan looked at me and he said that, where is this Mangal Sutra? Where's Rani's Mangal Sutra? So I was like, Mangal Sutra? He was like, yeah, where is the Mangal Sutra? Now, I used to be so conscious because I was someone who had not studied fashion and could draw and sketch, but I must be on the field saying I know it. And I said, yeah, Mangal Sutra is done. And I just started walking. And I'm walking and I'm thinking, where in Scotland am I going to get this? And I met Rani's mother who was walking across and she was wearing one. So I took it out and that had an orange bead and Rani was wearing an orange sari. And I went to him and I said, look, it matches so well. And so it's just that you have to be that thinker who thinks and, who gets things done. That's the only way.
It is. God wanted it to happen. Yeah. When you make effort for things, God does magic.
No, but I think that sometimes the solution is within you and you have to think of that solution and, kind of do that. So answers sometimes are within us and we have to just find them.
You work with Ram Gopal Verma. You work with Yash Johar. You work with everyone. Tell us one funny incident of working with anyone.
I just told you a funny incident.
That's not that funny. Tell us something which was really bizarre.
So he basically wants to know gossip.
No, I mean, yeah. I really want to know something. You said you'll make it interesting.
Well,
tell us one that you can tell on stage.
A funny situation.
Yeah, really funny.
What would be a funny
Like, a wardrobe malfunction or...
Oh, so that's what you want to know.
No, I'm just giving you a hint. It doesn't have to be that.
So, you know what? Sometimes I think that I've been so busy. I'm coming up with a book next year. And I was telling the writer that sometimes I think my life is a blur. because there's so much work that I've been doing that half the things I genuinely don't even remember. So I'm working every day of my life, and I love that. But I honestly, I don't remember. Every day is a funny day because you have to do what you have to do.
You're being diplomatic, but we'll let you go. My last question, Ms. Khan is there. Please give Ms. Gauri Khan a big round of applause. She's there, and we'll have her in a while. But
The gorgeous Miss Khan. I've known her for years, and she looks the same, and she just gets better. No, actually, she gets better and better and better. Yeah, see, that's what we do, right,
Yeah.
with each other.
good, that's a good thing. Friends and supporting each other and seeing the best in each other. But my last question to you is, 10 years, 20, and I'm sure you'll work till 90 like your dad and possibly work till
hope so.
100, God give. What do you want Manish Malhotra to be known for, both as a human being and as a professional? And is there a perfect role model that you have?
Well, I think that as a human being, I would like to be known as someone who had his ethic right. And as a work person also, I would love to be known as someone who had his ethic right. That is really, really important to me.
I'm sure you have it right. You wouldn't have survived this industry and thrived.
But to constantly keep that going and to constantly keep it on and to constantly take every job and not look at it as just as money, but look at it as a commitment is extremely important. And to me, that is the most important factor or fundamental of whatever I do.
I have to ask you this. See, I asked him, have you watched Once Upon a Time in Bollywood, Hollywood? And he said, I read the review, it wasn't good. You read reviews and watch movies?
Well, but today you don't have to read a review. It's all over Instagram and social media.
Well, but...
And my assistants tell me everything.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
don't watch this film.
typical Quentin Tarantino movie, less gory, but it was still okay. It was 7 on 10. It was 8 or 9 on 10.
So he's a huge Hollywood fan.
Yeah,
That's why.
but the reason I'm bringing this in, for example, I watched this movie called Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Scarlett Johansson, Xavier Bardem.
Yeah, I loved it.
And I've never been to Barcelona. But, when I watched it, I said, I want to go to Barcelona. It was so. So tell us 1 or 2 movies that made you do something which watching the movies got you thinking,
Well, I think my career in movies, I had never traveled so much before that. I remember telling my father, I'm 19 years of age, I haven't traveled. I want to be a designer, I need to see the world. And he said, you're modeling, go with your modeling money. And I saved my modeling money and went to Singapore and Bangkok for the first time. But it was thanks to the changing times in films that I went abroad. I've actually gone abroad only because of my work. And all those films that we did of Karan's and all the other directors in New York and London and staying there for months was something that really refined my job as well. But, and I know Gauri is sitting here, but Chalte Chalte is one film where I went to Mykonos with Shah Rukh and Rani. And that was the only outdoor where Shah Rukh said, why don't you stay back? Work is over, in 2 days we are leaving. And I actually stayed back. I've never done that. I was always like wanting to rush. The Mykonos till date is the only outdoor where I think I stayed back for 3 days just to be at that place. The place was so beautiful. So I saw the world through my work.
Fantastic. When you love what you do and you do what you love, you create Manish Malhotra. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
please give Manish Malhotra a big round of applause. But, really the fun is, I know Ms. Khan is there, but we'll take a couple of questions. Dr. Velumani, would you have a question can you get a mic? You're clearly not a loud Punjabi from Delhi, you need a mic. You can take my mic.
Hi, Manish.
Hi, sir.
Congratulations
Thank you.
for having reached here. But tell me 3 things that have not changed in Manish in 20s and today in 50s.
His looks, he used to look like this 20 years back too.
3 things that
His
have
hair.
not changed in Manish, who was in 20s, and Manish, who is in 50s.
3 things that haven't changed in me is that I wake up really early and
5 a.m.
happy. I jump out of my bed at about 5 or 6 a.m. The fact that I'm obsessed with food. And the third thing would be that I love movies.
Tell me 3 things that a 20-year-old boy has to keep in his mind to become Manish.
I think the 3 things that a 20-year-old boy, and I think all the 20-year-old boys know that very well nowadays, is that whatever you do, how much of a fun you have, but when you're on your job, you're on your job. You have to pay attention to that and give it all that you have, focus. Second thing is something new to say constantly. And you'll make a lot of mistakes, and it's fine. The next day will be a bright day again.
So make more mistakes and learn very fast.
That's fast.
Beautiful.
The last question. You only have to tell which one. Today there are more opportunities or there are more competition.
More?
Opportunities or there are more competition.
I think it's a balance of both. Earlier, probably there were more opportunities, but today there's opportunities and competition is quite parallel.
No,
Maybe there'll be a time when the competition will be much more.
No, you can only choose one.
He's very diplomatic, I've realized that.
Can't there be a tie?
And well, that is an option, but
Then I think opportunities, if you see it like that.
opportunities. You are absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Dr. Velumani. Dr. Pradyumna Vyas is here, the chair of our jury. Would you like to ask Manish a question? Can we get somebody rotating the mics?
Thank you.
He was the director of the National Institute of Design for 10 years. He's our jury chair.
When you tell me all these things, I feel really uneducated.
Yes.
No, I won't have any academic question. I just want to know that this whole changing scenario of sustainability which is coming, and how fashion you are taking into that route where some strong message is there of sustainable fashion.
But I think if you want to really go ahead with the brand and your work, sustainability is something that you definitely cannot avoid. It has to be a part of your organization. And very honestly, maybe a couple of years ago, we were not even that aware. But today, it's a part of our academic, it's a part of our work that it has to be a part of your journey. You know, we are conscious about the paper that we use. We are conscious about the waste that we do. And there are so many, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but there are so many times that there are, the clients of mine who have this heirloom piece or heritage piece, and I encourage them to, wear it again. So a lot of our tradition is yet there, and there's not just constant making of things. Sometimes it goes against my business, but I do it. So I think this is something that is a part of our journey.
So Manish, you just
Hi,
said
Manish.
that.
What's your
Hi.
name and what's your name and what do you do?
So my name is Zohaib and I represent Bollywood Boss. So Manish, you just said that you are not a trained fashion designer. You didn't know ABC of the designing. So, but today you happen to be the ace designer, exactly the czar of the fashion industry. So which is that thing what inspired you to be a designer?
What's your question?
So he just said that he doesn't know the ABC of the fashion designing when he just entered the fashion industry. So which is that thing what inspired you to be a designer?
That's
Like
what
I
he
men-
told us for the last 45
Yeah,
minutes.
I mentioned that.
What are you on?
You're firing
What have you
him.
been smoking? I think we should smoke the same thing. Not that I smoke, but
Hello, Mr. Malhotra.
Hi Manish, good evening. This is Shayanti here. I'm a fashion blogger and I've heard you at many forums and with the same energy, with the same passion. So I want to know what
Thank
keeps you going, and have you ever come across a critic who would wonder, about the fashion faux pas that is there, and do you believe there's anything right and wrong in fashion? What's your take?
There are wrongs and rights every day. There are faux pas. There are, there's not that every day is a Sunday. So it's not that every day is a good day, or not that everything that you make you're in love with. But I think that, like I mentioned earlier, you just keep going. You make mistakes, you're criticized at times. And even if you're appreciated, like you look at your work and you feel, oh my God, I need to change this. I need to change the way I'm thinking, or I need to change my work. But it's a process. It's not change, just doesn't happen overnight. First, your mind changes, and then that process takes a bit of time. And so that is, it's a part of our lives.
Yeah.
And we go on and on about with it.
One last question, sir, Mr. Malhotra.
so we'll take
One
the
last question.
last question. We'll take. Okay, I can't
Mr.
see you.
Malhotra, you are a man with a Midas touch. You are
Thank
a
you,
man
really?
with a Midas touch. You are a man who can change a street dog to a German shepherd. Who, according to you, is the most favorite?
Which actor are you referring to? That's her question.
Who, according to you, is the most favorite model who carries your fashion and design with style and grace?
Thank you for that question.
Well, I think it would be very unfair for me to take a single name.
You haven't taken a single name throughout the year.
Because
He
I
doesn't
think
take
so
single
many of
names.
them, but I have to say this to you, that the generation of today is so aware of what they want to be, what they want to look like, their sense of fashion, their knowledge on fashion is really, really fabulous. And that's not just in the actors, that's also the brides that come to us or the bridegrooms who come to us. They are so aware, and it is so amazing. The earlier when the bride came to you, her mother spoke, her mother-in-law spoke, who was paying the bill. But today, nobody speaks. It's them who speak. So I think it's that young generation, and all of them are very good.
Fantastic. Please give Manish Malhotra a big round of applause. You know, I just have to say that refreshingly, you sound very humble and you sound very old-fashioned in a good way in terms of your work ethic and what you say. I hope you continue to be like
What's
this.
the new cool thing? No work ethic?
You know, I have to ask my daughter. I mean, I'm clearly, if I was cool,
You
I'd
know,
be somewhere else. Not
Just before we started, and I was looking at the entire office chart that they were
Yeah, the
speaking
new work.
about. So I kept telling my manager and my assistant that this has a lot of recreation area. This has a lot, I'm never doing that in my office.
See,
So-
even when he's here, he's still thinking of his work and he's learning something. That's why he's Manish Malhotra.
Oh my God.
Please
Thank
give
you
Manish
so much.
Malhotra
Thank
big
you.
round of applause.
Thank you so much. Dr. Bhatta, sir, I would request you to please felicitate Manish Malhotra, sir, please. Can we have the memento? Yeah, it was a great session, please. Well, thank you so much for the great conversation.